Your Classical Storytime is supported by Minnesota Waldorf School. From springtime gardening and tending chickens to winter sledding and skiing, Minnesota Waldorf is dedicated to embracing your child's uniqueness as they learn through movement, art, and music. mnwaldorf.org. Welcome to Your Classical Storytime from APM. I'm Valerie. Today's story is called Sweet Arabella and features music by Jacques Ibert. A long, long time ago, when animals still chose to speak to humans, and fairies lived right alongside folks, instead of hiding in gardens and forests, disguised as leaves and flowers, there lived a sweet and friendly, but very clumsy, cow. Her name was Arabella. Arabella was always tripping over stones, tumbling into muddy ditches, or getting stuck in fences. Her human, whom she called Farmer Ted, was always coming to rescue her from this mess or that catastrophe. You might think he'd eventually get angry, or at least impatient, but Arabella was just the nicest and best cow with the most wonderful milk, so Farmer Ted was inclined to be forgiving. Besides, Arabella would always greet him with a cow-ish laugh and make some sort of silly joke about her latest mishap. Once, Farmer Ted found her in the pond at the bottom of the hill, giggling helplessly with the sprites who lived there.
"Oops,"
she said.
"I tumbled all the way down this time. Hit every boulder on the way, too. Probably churned up a pound of butter inside."
Another time, a chorus of blackberry fairies hooted with laughter as Farmer Ted extricated Arabella from the tangle of blackberry brambles where they lived.
"Farmer Ted, I'm sorry I've gotten you into this jam." Get it? The blackberry jam.
Farmer Ted groaned at the terrible pun, but in an affectionate way. They were the best of friends. Late one winter, when spring was just beginning to break through the ice and snow, Arabella wandered along the creek, hoping to find a little bit of tender spring grass to munch on. She spotted a tiny patch of bright green just on the other side of the creek.
Ooh.
She gingerly placed one hoof on the ice, then another, and another, and another. Now, even for the most graceful of cows, which we know Arabella was not, a hoof on ice is unsteady at best. Arabella wobbled a bit, then felt her right leg go left and her left leg go right, while both her back legs splayed out to the side. As she tried to get herself upright, she scraped and scrabbled and scooched, and then she spun and sputtered and splooped. And somewhere in between a scooch and a sploop, she slid right into the ice fairy, who had been taking a nap under the bank of the frozen creek. The ice fairy woke with a startled, "Hey!" and reflexively let loose a flash of defensive icy magic, which hit Arabella right in the tummy. She yelped.
"Oi, sorry about that, Bella,"
said the ice fairy.
"It's okay,"
said Arabella.
"I know you didn't mean to. I'm sorry for bumping into you. Say, my tummy feels not so great."
She let out a feeble,
"Let's see what I can do about that,"
said the ice fairy. She placed her hand gently on Arabella's tummy and sang softly under her breath.
"Arabella, dear and kind, in icy magic now entwined, my spell, once cast, can't be undone. But we can tame it and have some fun. Your sweetness will infuse that ice, soften it and make it nice, and thick and extra creamy. Everyone will think it dreamy. Now you're safe from any harm, though things will change down at the farm. For good plain milk, starting now, Farmer Ted should buy a cow. Because you startled a sleeping fairy, your ice cream will be legendary."
"That tickles,"
giggled Arabella.
"Off you go then,"
said the ice fairy.
"All better now. More or less."
When Arabella got home, Farmer Ted said,
"Well, hello, Arabella. Looking awfully sparkly today. What have you been up to?"
Arabella explained what had happened, and they had a good laugh. The next day, Farmer Ted milked Arabella like usual. He was surprised to see that the milk didn't slosh around. It looked thick, not liquid like milk, not solid like ice, but somewhere in between. And he could have sworn he saw it sparkle. He scooped out a fingerful and tasted it.
Yum!
His eyes went big and he said,
Arabella, you have made magic here.
he and Arabella ran to share this creamy, cold sweetness with the family next door. So wonderful.
Yummy. More, please.
Farmer Ted, this is just amazing. What do you call it?
Freezy milk.
Said one kid.
Dairy snow.
Said another. Farmer Ted looked at his friend, the cow, tilted his head and said,
Well, Arabella, what do you think?
Arabella paused to think for a moment.
As you startle the sleeping fairy, your ice cream will be legendary.
How about ice cream?
She said, and promptly tripped over a stump in the yard. Farmer Ted did bring another cow home, because you can't have ice cream all the time, you know. And Arabella, sweet Arabella, she lived happily ever after, of course. The end. Thanks for listening to Your Classical Storytime from American Public Media. Find out more about today's story and explore the rest of our library at yourclassical.org/storytime.